Alrighty, guys, welcome back. It's that time again where we get to sit down and review a game. This one here is Legendary, Marvel Legendary. And let's find out about what this game does really, really well. The things that I find that I don't find as good as it could be, and then give you an overall thoughts, understanding about the game, and then our review of the final game. So, Marvel Legendary is a deck building superhero game with a lot of interesting characters and a lot of interesting things. So, let's find out how well this game all comes together in its package. So, of course, we always start off with the 5 really good things that we like about this game. The things that we really enjoy. And number 1, it is going to be a variety and amount of different schemes that come in the game. There is a huge variety of different schemes. Are basically like the mission you're going to go on, the rules for the scenario. And there's a whole bunch of different ones where you got to do different things every time to try and defeat the scheme. So when you play Marvel Legendary, you're going to pick a villain you're going to go up against, and then you're going to pick a scheme, and the scheme will kind of fine-tune what the villain's doing to try to complete his mission. So there's a huge variety of different schemes that you come up against, and they all play differently, and it does add a lot of replayability into the game. Number 2 is all of the different heroes and bosses. There's all kinds of really cool heroes in the game. Just about every single hero, a lot of the very popular heroes, the Avengers, X-Men, all kinds of extra heroes that you can get, and tons and tons and tons of bosses. Just about any of the bosses that you can think of are going to be included in this game. So there's a ton of different heroes that all play differently. They all have their own gimmick, like Hulk, if you play with the Hulk character. So Hulk, when he attacks, he takes wounds. He takes wounds and he takes wounds, which is going to jam up his deck, which is not a good thing. But then, his ultimate Hulk is remove all the wounds and then do extra damage, which makes thematic sense. And I really like how all the different heroes have their own little gimmick and their own little special abilities, like Spider-Man. Every one of Spider-Man's cards are cost 2. And a lot of his cards are like, draw the top card of your deck, and if it costs 2 or less, you can add it to your hand for free. So if you buy a whole bunch of Spider-Mans, you can keep drawing a whole bunch of Spider-Mans. So they all play differently, and they all are do their own special thing, and it's really cool how when you combine them all together, you get a different feeling every time you play a mission. Number 3, it's quick to learn. Pretty quick game to understand the concepts, what you're trying to do. You're deck building and you're flipping up a card and, activating the game against you, and then you're playing your cards out, earning either recruit points to buy better cards or attack points to attack enemies out there. So you got two things you're keeping track of: how you play the cards and interact with how the cards interact will be different every time, every hand you play out. So pretty quick to learn, not too complex of a game. And yeah, it's something you can sit down and teach somebody in like 10 minutes how to play. It's not super hard. Number 4, it plays out differently every time. So depending on the different bosses and the different schemes and the different heroes you have, every single time will play out differently because of how all the interaction of the different cards play. It's not like some games out there where, I get different cards, but it plays basically the same. In this game, it definitely plays out differently. Sometimes you'll be, like damaging. You might be on a mission where your Avenger base is being damaged, so your hero recruitment gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the game goes through. So you're constantly worried about trying to make sure you don't lose some of those characters and try and repair those different locations so you can get those. And then you might play a different mission where the enemies are just coming into Midtown, and every time they come into Midtown, you end up having to take damage. It's just like all these different combinations that are happening, and you have to try to weave your way through it and try to figure out how to complete the mission, how to complete the scheme before it's able to help the villain complete his mission. And number 5, it's quick to the table. You basically grab a scheme, you grab a mastermind, you grab 5 heroes, you shuffle all these decks up, and you get your base cards and you're ready to go. It's very quick. You can sit here and go, I wonder which game I should play. You see Marvel Legendary and you go, you know what? I'm going to play that game. You get it down off the shelf, you set it up, and within 10 minutes, maybe maximum 10 minutes you're playing. You can, obviously play it quicker than that as well. So it's one of these games that's like, I know there's a lot of games that's like, I'd like to play that, but man, it's going to take 40 minutes to set it up and get it all organized and separate all the pieces and this, that, and the other thing, and and I don't want to do it. Well, this game is like, boom, I can see it. Yeah, it's a great filler game. Yeah, I can get it to the table anytime I want. It's just one of those games. So, that is a lot of positive things. I really enjoy all those aspects of Legendary. And now, unfortunately, not everything's rosy, my friends. As much as I enjoy this game, not everything is perfect. So let's talk about the 5 not so good things, or things that I don't enjoy in this game as much as I would have liked. And number 1 is, well, there are many expansions. I think there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 23 to 24 or 25 expansions for this game. So you have your core game and then all these other expansions that come out. So if you want all the content for this game, it's going to cost you a lot of money to get all these expansions, because some of them have been out for a long time and been out of print for a long time. So there's some pretty rare expansions out there. So this is one of these games, if you hadn't been purchasing throughout its evolution and throughout its existence, it can cost you several $100 to $1,000 to get all the expansions. So just keep that in mind. Some of the expansions are hard to get and can cost you a pretty penny. Number 2. Some of the artwork tends to be what I'm calling on the bland side. It's fine. It does what it does, but it's not super high res, ultra awesome, or anything like that. It's just kind of bland artwork. And even like the artwork, I'm not even talking about like the characters' artwork. I'm also talking about like the images around the border images, and there's nothing that really separates this. You can even tell by the front cover. I mean, that's a fine looking cover, but it's not even like comic book style artwork. It's just like its own style. And for me, unfortunately, it is kind of bland. It's fine. It's just not something like, oh, look at this. This looks really cool or anything. There are some that are good, but then there's some that are, it's just kind of generic. So the artwork, in my opinion, is kind of bland. Number 3, some of the rules are not explained as well as they could have been, especially with a lot of the expansions. It seems like, as I mentioned, there are 24, 25, 26 expansions, and every one of the expansions adds a new rule. And so all of these additional rules don't really kind of explain how they all interwork with one another. And so you're kind of having to guess, well, if this is the rule for this and this is the rule for this, how would those two interact with one another? And so sometimes you have to kind of best guess what it could be, or you have to try and spend some time looking it up or anything like that, because there isn't like one rule booklet that covers everything. So some of the rules just aren't explained very well, which I think holds the game back for some new people, unfortunately. Number 4, this is, of course, a deck building game, which means you start off with the 10 worst cards ever, and your job is to get new cards and get them in your deck and get rid of some of your crappy cards. It is one of these slow to start games. You're going to be spending 4 or 5 or first 6 turns getting one card, hoping that you maybe somewhere along the lines you might be able to get something better. And it's going to take you probably 5 or 6 turns before you might see some combos starting to form in your deck. So it is kind of a slow to start game. It's not one of these games where you're going to be, doing really cool and, I can play this card, which will allow me to do this, and these two interact with one another. Not going to be that kind of game in the beginning. It's going to take a little while to get things rolling. Number 5 is putting the game away. I know some people, I love this, so this is not a negative for me, but I'm putting this in because I know a lot of players out there, when they have at the end of the game, they have all these cards all over the table, and what they have to do is they have to just separate all the cards and then stack them all up and put them back in the box, which can take 45 minutes to put them away. Now, what I do is, while I'm playing the game, I am putting cards in piles, so that way I won't need to sort those cards at the end of the game. If you watch through the playthrough that we did, or any of my playthroughs, you will notice that like all the mage hands, or the henchman cards, the hand ninjas, couldn't think of it. All the hand ninjas. Whenever we kill the hand ninja, I put it into its own pile, and then I would stack all those cards together. So as I'm playing through the game, I don't need to, like at the end, it only takes me like 10 minutes to sort the rest of the cards and put them away, because as I'm playing through the game, I'm keeping things organized. If you're not doing that, I can understand how some people, like at the end, they got cards everywhere and you're going to have to sort it all out. And a lot of players don't like doing that. I love it, but a lot of players don't. So, with all that said, some good stuff, some bad stuff. Where does the Marvel Legendary rank, in my opinion? If you know anything about, you've been around my channel for a while, you know what I like, what I don't like. What I do like are things like give you lots of player choices, lots of different characters to try out, and lots of different randomization. Well, Marvel Legendary has all of those with spades and spades and spades of those. You have tons and tons. I couldn't even tell you how many characters I have. I have several different boxes up on my shelf that has nothing but characters in it. And then all the different villains and all the different schemes and all the combination of just putting 5 characters together. One mission you might have Hulk and Captain America and Black Widow, and you can put all the Avengers in. And the next mission you might just have Iron Man and Blade and Captain Britain, and yes, Captain Britain. And, you have all these weird, not as well known heroes, and then you can just choose these random villains and random schemes. I've got a stack that's like this high of schemes, so I've got like somewhere around 80 to 100 different schemes, and I'm just randomly just shuffling them, just pulling one out, and going, oh, that one looks good. Because I haven't even seen half of them. Not even played through half of them. There's so much content to this game. And it gives you so much variety and so many things to think about. And so many ways to do it. And I enjoy those kinds of games. Yes, the gameplay can be repetitive. You're basically, okay, boom, I'm doing this. I'm earning 5 points and I'm buying this card. Boom. I have 2 attack. There's nothing I can attack for 2, and that's all I can do. And I'm just spending my whole turn buying card. And you do that for the first 6, 8, 10 turns before you starting to get enough cards in your deck where they're starting to get some combos and stuff. So it can be a little slow to get going, and it can be a little repetitive and stuff. But if you're looking at the big picture and trying to keep the board under control, trying to find ways to get your cards to get combinations together, finding ways that are cards that are going to help you against the master schemes, and trying to figure out how to prevent the boss's abilities from going off, and just trying to work out that puzzly kind of interaction of everything. And if you really like doing that with games, you're really going to love Legendary. For me, it is the amount of content, the amount of characters, the ease of play, the way it, the length of the game. Everything is really well done and balanced and just so fun and so interesting. I am rating this a 93%, which in my impression, or my view, it is a wonderful game, and I'm going to actually get to show everyone out there now our brand new Jesterify logo. We've been Jesterifying things by using our normal logo, but I decided that if we're going to move forward and Jesterify any game, meaning it is top tier game, I'm going to create a new logo for that, and I posted it on my Facebook page, which happens to be right there, and they all voted on it, and it was a super close vote between the 3 choices I gave everyone, but the winner is going to be this one. Oh, that's not the one at all. That's not the right one. There it is. So we're going to Jesterify Marvel Legendary, which means it has the seal of approval from us. That this is an excellent game. It is well worth your time, money, and trouble to get. The more you invest in this game, the better it gets. So obviously, once you get the core game, which is pretty reasonably priced, if you can get a few expansions, you literally have hundreds and hundreds of hours of time to play with. And again, if you like just 5 random characters and trying to figure out how the different characters interact with one another, there's Avengers, there's X-Men, there's Guardians, there's X-Force characters, there's MK characters, just about every kind of character out there in the Marvel Universe that you can think of. They'd even have the Civil War, where you can actually play as against the Iron Man, and you can play against the Captain America in the Civil War. There's all kinds. You have World War Hulk, where you got that different scheme of things. You've got of course, the Avengers with the End War, with the End Game. Couldn't think of the name of it there. So they've got that added now, so you can play against Ebony Maw, you can play against Thanos, you can relive the movies in sequence by using the characters that were there, using the enemies that were there, or you can just randomize everything to your heart content. It is a really, really good game. I can see, some people, it's boring and you don't get to do anything. And sure, there are some turns that could be boring. But I can say that about any game out there. There's going to be down times. There's going to be turns where you can't do everything. And, it's just one of these games with all the amount of content. The way it's designed, again, quick to get to the table. There are many games that I can see in my view right now where it's like, if I wanted to play that game, it would have to take me 20 minutes to try and relearn it, and at least 20 minutes to try and set it up. And I don't have an hour to to do all this stuff. With Marvel Legendary, you can look through the rule booklet and have it set up and be playing within 5 to 10 minutes. It's that quick. You're shuffling some decks up and boom, you're ready to go. And that is one of the really cool things about it. It's just like, whenever you're ready for a game, it's ready for you. So there you go, my verdict for Marvel Legendary. And of course, Legendary, if you're not familiar, Legendary has spawned a whole line of other games. Like Dominion is the original deck building game and added, the deck building mechanic into board gaming. Well, Legendary has got its own set of Legendary games now with Marvel Legendary. You have Legendary Aliens, you have James Bond Legendary, you have Aliens vs. Predator Legendary, you have Big Trouble in Little China, you have X-Files, you have I'm just trying to think of some of the other ones. There's like 8 or 10, the Matrix one that just came out last year. So if you enjoy this system, but you don't like Marvel for whatever reason, there are probably other games in the series that you can find that might fit into that. But again, that has nothing to do with the review of this game. I'm just giving you that as a bonus in case you are wondering, I like this game and I like what Jester has to say about it, but I don't know if I would enjoy the superheroes. I'm kind of over superheroes. Well, maybe you're a James Bond nut. Well, in that case, go get you some Legendary James Bond and relive and replay through some of the James Bond movies, which we've done here on our channel as well. So anyways, the final verdict for Marvel Legendary. 93%. Wonderful game. Great content. Artwork is not the best. There is some slow turns, and it takes a little while to get going. It's not a perfect game, but it is certainly gives you enough variety in trying to figure out the puzzle of how to win this mission with the different schemes and the different bosses, and trying to figure out how all of your heroes are going to interact and work together to complete the mission. So, the final verdict, 93%. It has been Jesterfied. Thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. And don't you forget, if we will see you all down the line. Until the next time, my friends, take care, and we'll see you soon.